I can understand why. And I think, you know, it's not this heavy. I'm leaning more kind of like 70-30 in favor of Humble, but I can see why they probably would go this way.
We're talking so much about our own predictions, about the predictions from the people at home, but in the end, it's in those 6 players' hands what the future is going to bring. We had an 81% vote also for SK Gaming, now 86 for Humble. Let's see if it brings them a little more luck. Layer Cake, our first map here. Many good brawlers already out of the way. Juju, Double Ben, Meeple, one of the best brawlers on the map, of course, also out of the way. We have Tick open, would be a good thrower here. Or maybe a little bit more aggressive. Kaze could be coming in, never mind. It is a thrower, but it's not Tick, it's Willow. Doing pretty well against any tanks, but doesn't really bring the range with her.
So typically Juju enters the ban stage, and as a result, you have some more questionable calls. This is where the lineups start happening. One that does escape here is Mina. With Mina not being in this, I think that probably changes the starting lineup here for Humble. Maybe anticipating that, maybe not. Maybe this has always been the game plan. But I would say mind control could be helpful. And on this map in general, Willow is just menacing.
Well, the Gene comes in shortly after for Revenant XSPARK, and as you say, I do really like that thrower pick early on, and Gene not doing much to punish it, to be honest with you. That'll have to be a little bit later on down the line. Willow's just going to be sitting behind those walls, and Gene continuously throwing out these shots, working for a pull. If he gets that magic hand and makes the connection, then yes, Willow might have a few issues, but she can still even just dive down out the way.
I would still like to see something aggressive. Let's see if it's already going to be that second pick from Revenant XSPARK. Ellie open, Kaze open. Jaeyoung with the speed at least. The support from both of those brawlers. That third pick is going to have a lot of healing behind the back.
I wonder if this is something simple like a Bell. I mean, I'm looking at this combination. It really relies on healing and being clustered up together. Sure, you get great poke damage and Jaeyoung a great support brawler, but you don't want to go too squishy, so I'm sure Humble are debating their options. The bounce shot just makes too much sense to me here, but there's plenty more still left to do in this draft. They could round it out with something aggressive if they really wanted to.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not like Revenant XSPARK have got the most DPS in the world, to be honest. Something aggressive wouldn't be too bad, but they're going to go with the Byron instead. Go and support their Willow and support what they pick next. There's still the opportunity of that aggressive stance, and with the Byron behind him, it becomes more and more likely.
We've been talking about aggressive brawlers since this draft started. So far, we're not seeing any of them. Humble. Let's see if they got us here over at the casting desk. Ali, Kaze. Maybe just another long-ranged option against the Gene. Bell could also always come in clutch. It is Kaze. Finally, we have some aggression on stage.
Yeah, I think this is a nice pairing, and Byron kind of serves for the same mentality that I had with Bell. They've now doubled up on poison damage, so it's going to be trickling, and it's going to be really hard to gain any benefit off magic puffs or Jaeyoung. A lot of the times in the past, into things like Hank and Jaeyoung combinations earlier on in our meta during the year, we've seen somebody like Crow. This is a similar mentality. I obviously like these brawlers much better than Crow. I wouldn't expect a Crow. Similar reasoning, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, down to the last pick here of Revenant XSPARK. Have a lot to counter. Need something that's going to be able to deal a decent amount of damage to this Kaze when it comes aggressive. But you know what? Forget that. We're going to go aggressive themselves. If they come to us, we're going to go back at their support brawlers. The Ali comes rolling on in. I think that's a very solid pick and a smart one from Revenant XSPARK to just go for the backlines.
Revenant XSPARK have survived every hurdle thrown their direction. But there is one more obstacle blocking their road to glory. The ultimate test, the final boss of Brawl Stars. Bear witness to Brawl Cinderella versus your defending champion.
The blue star going the way of Revenant XSPARK. Pretty much as always as they're the ones with the aggressive stance. Surprising to see Semantic not go for that, and he's just going to go straight for a response instead, but caught in the middle of big fight here on the left-hand side, and 2 members of Humble are going to fall down really early on, and no casualties for Revenant.
Banging start for Ali on the top left-hand side. He is hungry for more. Now diving away, dashing down the left hand, and Jay responds there to meet him. Support coverage. Shot being lobbed up by Luki. Pressure being dealt by Humble, and now the red roster is maintaining positioning.
Well, yeah, X9J had to be cautious of that thrower there. The shot came in and Sergeant just tanked it, but Jay was too low to do just that. Pulls there and Semantic brought all the way in. Surely going to go down with 1 HP there for a second. Switching to the speed and response. Surely going to be able to win Jay, but he actually misses 2 of his shots on his own teammate there. As Boss can't get the job done with that Willow super. Sergeant in the back line trying to defend things out with the heals. Back in business for response.
Not a great start for Humble, 7-0. But the good news is Sergeant's the one with the blue star and all of them on his noggin. He's typically an aggressor. They're still lobbing up fan storms. Semantic now on the left hand, and Sergeant clean into this wall, diving out. Smells blood in the water, doesn't get it though. grants Humble 5 stars, and all of a sudden, this is a much tighter race.
Absolutely, he just wanted to manage the star loss. At that point, they might have been able to get all three if he didn't just sacrifice himself there, but they are still in the back lines. Response very low, pops the burst of healing. And Sergeant knows if he goes down now, they're going to have some big problems. They're going to have to use the bounce back on their own teammate, and Sergeant gets dragged into the middle of all three of them as Semantic pulled in. And the Weekend Warrior there by response will put the stars even more in Revenant's favor.
Fantastic tag team coming out of Revenant. Now the mind control though, Revenant have to hold on to this blue star. It finally fades away. Sergeant there for another one though. 12-5, holding on. World champion Semantic working the right-hand side, but he has walked like a dog. The team pull goes through. Revenant XSPARK take game number 1.
I mean, that's incredible from Revenant XSPARK, as about as dominant as it gets against Humble in these kind of competitions. What a performance that was. The Ali doing so much work, and the Willow got so many mind controls in influential moments and just couldn't get them to kill their own team.
This Ali is going absolutely crazy. Even when they gave away those 5 stars and the blue one, they immediately got it back. This is not a powerful DPS composition outside of that Ali. They have a Gene, poke damage, has to get the pull, and then they all have to make contact at once. It takes so many shots from Jae Young and Gene pouring into the enemy side to grab kills, and somehow, some way, SDA's finest are doing just that.
Sergeant jumping over a few shots there and getting back into the safety. Shields from X9J in response now, going in once more, baits the switch from Semantic to try and get him in a tough position. Still, they're the ones in the dominant area of the map. Weekend Warrior using Semantic force to switch again to get the heals back. The Sergeant going aggressive time and time again, not finding the kills at the moment, but always retreating into the arms of his teammates. This time, he will burn.
Complete change of pace now. Revenant have to be the ones on offense. And I'm sure Willow is rather close to a super as well. Boss has been tapping here more as of late. Sergeant force feeding that behind the walls. He's extinguishing all that ammo just to dodge out shots. In game number 1, he was using them on the offensive. He just hadn't had an opportunity yet.
Gotta be cautious of this magic hand as X9J still looming with it. Sergeant still waiting. Now Luke comes in with the big hyper charge, but it makes no connections at all, and that's a huge waste for him. Would have been really nice to have that when they started to mount this push, but used it aggressively instead. X9J still waiting to get the prime moment to get the pull off.
Don't forget about the invisibility as well, but Willow tapping, and of course a Byron tag as well would reveal where the invisibility is. Sergeant now tapping to the left-hand side. The crowd, as Kaze looks to meet her over there. Both members of Humble backing down. Blue Star, remember, resides with Byron. That's something to keep your eye on for. That would switch the lead instantly.
Calm before the storm here in Bounty as Sergeant now starts to lunge forward towards the Humble spawn. Big plays coming in, the magic hand gonna be missed, and Boss gonna be just dragging response across the map. He's not gonna be able to get out, and the other two of them are way too low. Not enough support with Jae Young not being there to get this win on the board. The Fan Storm's placed, and Sergeant tries to make something happen, but isn't capable this time, and Humble answer well in game 2.
They're defending world champions for a reason. It was never going to be that simple. Revenant started out hot, but Humble had a response. Instead of allowing Sergeant to have his way, the world champions used some great team play to shut him down. There were rare moments where Revenant could really walk forward. We're going to have to see an explosive start once again as Ali goes for the blue star and once again dips.
Yeah, nice move from Sergeant again, but they need to be cautious this time about someone not falling down. They're going to be at their best when Humble are trying to aggress them, and Sergeant can take people by surprise and get the kills rather than going aggressive themselves, as we saw in that last game. So Sergeant got to be cautious not to feed this lead over. He's going to extend it, in fact, and get away as well.
Split second and you'll miss it. Ali just rests in that grass, waits for just a sliver of a moment to dive in, drive an isolated kill. Otherwise, it's just a lot of damage. If you're piling up on brawlers, they have an opportunity to land more shots on you. So Sergeant has to be very strategical about these kills. Oh, the long-range pull! Jay with a nasty mark.
Nice little bait and switch there. He wanted to get Sergeant, and in fact turned around and got pulled himself. Semantic cautious now, but very aggressive from Sergeant, and overly so as he gets brought down in the middle of the map by Humble.
This time it's Humble on the offensive. Revenant backing up. Oh, he does it again! Jay on the big stage makes another massive pull. Now they have 3 members standing up. They've dodged a super. Sergeant expanding their territory. Remember, he can float on grass. The brawler resides in a swamp after all. That's her domain.
Jay knows he needed to make up for the whiff in the previous game with his magic hand. Stargent going aggressive again, trying to get Luki down. Can't get that last wipe off. And now it's down to 1 star between them. Humble still remain on the aggressive with 30 seconds to go. They need something huge.
The blue side has to hold firm. World champions are incoming. Semantic has a super as well. Fanstorm available, or could dive in at a moment's notice.
Pull again for X9J. He's got to get that off and deflate this push before it starts. Semantic starts to come in. There's the Fanstorm. All 3 of them caught into it. Jay doesn't know whether to throw this out or go aggressive. Finds it out of nowhere, but Semantic gets a massive heal. 3 dashes don't do anything, but Stargent falls. Humble find the necessary kill and take step 1.
What a shot in the dark. They land the pull, but not the kill. And that's ultimately what cost Revenant there. I'm sure Humble were even caught off guard by that. I mean, just in the middle of the Fanstorm, obviously from our POV, it looks very different than what you're seeing if you're playing in the game. Normally, you can only see what's inside that circle. Stargent with a great set, just not quite enough to carry them for a win.
I mean, you got to think about the balance here as well, right? Stargent has 6 kills, but how many times did he go down in those aggressive positions as well? So there's a balance. The stats look really good. Semantic only got 4 kills, but a big 227 DPS as he was defending these 2 support brawlers who were on his side. And some big plays from Humble towards the end of the matches were very influential. There were moments here as well. Jay whiffed a pull in this scenario as well, just before we see this. I mean, that can cost games. Nothing against him though, because he hit so many in the previous one. But Humble were just so attuned to the fact that he was going to pull. Perfect, look at this. This perfect hypercharge super, bang. Ryan Semantic gets a burst of heals. He wastes a load of ammo in there, but Boss still managed to find it, and Response couldn't quite get the heal onto him in time.
Just some swagger coming out of the world champions there. Really could have gone either way in set number 1. A great taste of what this match has in store for us. Those here in Stockholm have plenty of support headed Humble's way. I'm sure plenty of monitors at home are supporting the SEA darlings. This is a new era for them. It's a region that didn't get a lot of representation compared to our big 4, East Asia, South America, North America, EMEA. These are names you all know and love. But SEA is just smaller. It's harder to find just by numbers, quality. And despite that, this is the one team from that region that came out of LCQ. They are not here by mistake. I do not expect them to go quietly into this night.
I mean, I think this is a big thing as well, right? You mentioned how small the region is, how few players there are from there. So these are clearly going to be the best of the best from that area of the world. But who do they practice against all year long? How do they get better? This is raw mechanical skill you're seeing from these guys that isn't built overnight. Incredible stuff. They're putting up a fight against Humble. Some would argue they should have the first set in their pocket if it wasn't some incredible plays by Humble.
Chance to write that in set number 2. Off the Death Cap trap we go. Pam, by far the most played brawler on this map. Just depends on if she escapes the ban stage, and she does. So we see Hank, Mina, Meeple on that right-hand side. Max, the first overall pick from Revenant XSPARK. Right? A lot of the time on this map, you're going to see that Max Sandy tandem. They don't have to commit to it. Max is a very flexible brawler, but if they can get it, it would be nice. On the other end, I'm looking out for a Pam and an Alley 2-3 turn. The Alligator does really well with Pam because Pam in general does great at being a gym carrier, a mid, and typically because of the siphoning gadget that she has with that Scrap Sucker could be really good into Alley. So when you take a great brawler in Alley and also take away something that would counter it, it is a nasty combination to fight against.
Absolutely. I mean, surprising to see a Max first pick, to be honest with you. It's been a brawler that's showed its face a lot, surprisingly to me, this tournament, but it's one of those brawlers that you can just grab, and if you're mechanically sound, you're going to have a pretty good time. Ruff's going to come in then for Humble. Pretty much been the #1 brawler throughout this competition. Very good support, providing hypercharges with a hypercharge of his own, and the power-ups along the way are a big play and a big game changer in modes and maps where you've got to be passive like Gem Grab.
Tara and Lily still eligible here too. A couple of reverse mechanics that are important in Gym Grab. Humble, all control. Ruff's a support brawler, one that can bounce shots off the wall, and importantly, charge hypercharges for your teammates. His super grants you access to a little extra health points, a little extra damage, but I love where Finks is at in the game right now. I think he's more of a hero in hot zone, but on this game mode in particular as well, a dominant mid, especially against somebody with projectiles, somebody like Max where he's shooting forward at time, it's so difficult to make those connections when he has a super down just because they're so slow when they travel through.
I mean, it can absolutely work. We've seen it a few times against the likes of a Lily or something like that, that's one of the more aggressive brawlers we tend to see on this map. When she throws out the super and you've got your time warp down, you're pretty much guaranteed to be evading it. Jae Young going to come in though as the final pick from the Revenant XSPARK side, along with the kit that we just failed to mention. Real nice composition here from Revenant XSPARK. They've got the speed that they need in both X9J and Sergeant, so they're going to be whizzing around this map. Response to take people by surprise and get those big game-changing kills. And Revenant are a team who love to play from behind from gem grab. We've seen it in a lot of their different series. When it's gem grab, they tend to go the brawlers that can turn it round the most rather than control it.
I wonder if Humble just hit the health points here. Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do. The one thing I will say about the Revenant XSPARK composition, Kit is more of an assassin. I think that's probably how they're going to be playing him here. I don't think it's necessarily the support. I don't imagine he's going to necessarily always be looking to hop on the backpack of either Max or Jae Young. Plenty of speed, plenty of utility. And then on the other end, they give away Lily. So Humble get a freebie at a reverse mechanic, and even if Revenant XSPARK are leading the entire way, they don't have a ton of health points, and on top of that, they have a hypercharged super that can send Lily into the Shadow Realm. Defending world champions, up 1-0 against SEA Dark Horses. Revenant XSPARK, we're close in the first set. We need to see them battle even harder.
X9J, flying stars, 2 gems here, but it looks like he's going to come straight on top of Semantic, and a good phase shift to get him out of that position. Sergeant just playing the kind of paranoia game of waiting in this bush, responsible for pop a Weekend Warrior at the perfect time and deal with Semantic on the left. A good TP there from Lukey, but it was a little too late as Sergeant still got the stun off.
5 gems in Revenant's pockets, but remember, as long as they're working towards that Lily hypercharge and playing alongside it, they will be just fine. It still takes the mechanics, you still have to execute. Always potential with this Humble composition though.
Well, the speed's there along with the Sergeant super. So Humble got to be extremely cautious. They're going to go aggressive themselves, bait out a lot of utility, but Semantic going to be ending straight on top of Sergeant, and that's going to be a big fight that Sergeant needs to win and does to keep him out of the back lines.
So many heals coming out of response. Now Sergeant flanking left-hand side, Jay in the middle, dueling against Sphinx. It's a tough task. Kit, though, jumping to the left-hand side, looking for assistance from Jay's base. The way heals coming out of response, super speed up the middle of the map. Now an extra bit of damage from response's gadget. Not quite enough to overcome this Humble stronghold.
Lukey's still in the mid, and the time warp there did so much in that situation. Sergeant once more with a super enhanced Semantic, one of his own. A brilliant bounce around the corner from the hypercharge, and he's going to get away with one of those gems. Sergeant recovers 4, but can't do anything more than that. Response through the mid. Weekend Warrior popped as well, and he's just putting himself at risk to try and make something happen. Sergeant super, they might need to hold this and just try and get a reset elsewhere. But down all these shots come, and still the countdown goes.
Jay now left-hand side. Revenant have to pounce, but it's going to be Semantic with a gadget. They have to choose wisely who they dive at. They choose Boss. 2 gems on the ground. This will be a reset. Immediate takedown from Humble, though.
Yeah, 10 gems over Lukey's head now, so Semantic can go back to this aggressive stance that he will love to do. Don't think there's gems anywhere else on the map, though. We're forgetting about responsible hypercharge. Sergeant, one of his own, looking to try and go really aggressive, but a time warp, and he jumps back in time away from the hypercharge. And an incredible game-saving play from Lukey will keep Humble ahead.
Much more dominant this go-around. Humble with a strong start in set number 2. It's got to be scary if you're Revenant XSPARK. There's a lore around Humble. There's just a vibe in the room. You can feel it. The good news is we saw them bleed just 2 days ago. They lost to Crazy Raccoon in a reverse sweep. If you're Revenant, you just have to keep telling yourself, if we can beat CR, we can beat Humble too.
Well, again, Semantic on a tear off the start. But once more, it is X9J who walks away with all the gems after the initial interaction between these 2 teams. He'll get some slipstream, some heals along the way, I'm sure, as Response sits behind him and waits for Sergeant to make his move.
It's important to grab those gems, but again, Semantic with a hypercharge. Those reverse mechanics are so important. Of course, Kit can get a quick reset with a dive, but it's so much more typical. Now invisible, up in Boss's face, a super going down. He's going to break the wall. Sergeant with perfect timing, and now Boss narrowly holding on. A trade is something Humble are willing to make.
I mean, regardless of that time warp, Lukey just took a lot of shots to the face. Semantic once more doing the same thing he always does, and it just works. He's now got his hypercharge, just needs to work for the super, and a big game-changing play can be made. X9J got to be cautious in the back lines, as Semantic will be coming forwards once more. Boss going to go down as Sergeant goes in for a big trade. And it's 5-4 as Humble get their 5th going now.
The trade cost Revenant positioning and gain them 1 gem. I'm not sure that's a trade they're willing to make. Gadget pop for response, needs the heals, has cover fire coming out of Jay. Lukey, though, has not moved an inch. He's still in the middle of the map. Now he's going to scoop the other side and teleport away as well. This trade just keeps happening. This time, though, it's not even a trade. It's Revenant losing the numbers, losing positioning. Now Humble have opened the walls.
Real rough stance there on the right-hand side as Sergeant goes in really aggressive and can't even get the trade. And that's 9 for Luki as Semantic comes in, gets 1, gets 2. And Sergeant, the last hope for Revenant. But Semantic drops into the realm and retreats all the way back. Luki's got the 10th and Semantic still alive, ready to fight it out.
Revenant have to climb all the way up the map, but they've already lost one of their number. Boss, right-hand side, they have no idea where Luki is, sitting comfortably in the back of Spawn. The 2024 World Champions are 1 set away from an opportunity to bury Crazy Raccoon for another year.
Humble just playing so well, and not to say there's not a few mistakes here and there from the Revenant XSPARK team, a few little moments of over-aggression from Sergeant and not getting the necessary trades. But look at the stats, Semantic with 8 kills, 340 DPS, and to be fair, it's not like it's like incredible mechanical skill. He's pressing the gadget, walking up, waiting in a bush, getting a super, using it and getting killed. And that's all it needs to be as Luki just waits on the zone where the gems are spawning and doesn't die.
Semantic's job is to get that hypercharge as fast as possible. If you're just in the face of the enemy, getting shots, even if you're not converting kills, you're building to that moment. We've seen it several times now. Once Semantic has gadget and hypercharge ready to go, it's an inescapable thing. He can get the super, take gems, or if he needs to, and he somehow has got the gems in his hands, pops gadget, disappears to the Shadow Realm. She is the only brawler on this map who can go down there. She goes invisible, you have no idea where she is, you have to rely on that game sense, just hoping you figure out where it was, and unfortunately for Revenant XSPARK, they had no clue where Lily was that entire set.
I mean, it's going to be so difficult for him to come back from this. Humble on stage looking so confident, Revenant a slight bit defeated, at least in my eyes. But they need 3 in a row, an entire reverse sweep here from Revenant XSPARK to get themselves to the World Final and knock Humble off their high horse.
Wild how a different day of Brawl Stars changes everything. 1 night's rest. Day 1 Humble, reverse swept 3-2. Yesterday looked unfazed. Today are flying through their matches. Revenant XSPARK are a semi-finalist team at the 2025 World Finals in a year of upsets and chaos. Somehow, one thing that has remained consistent is Humble standing here in another semi-finals. And they are 1 away from going to back-to-back grand finals. They'll have to achieve that on open business. Brawler I'm looking out for is Hank, top of my board in terms of picks. Depends on the bans, of course. But Colonel Ruff's another one that we saw in that previous set that could be of interest, that wall break dynamic, whether they elect to use it, whether they don't, whether they want to feed hypercharges, all of that depends on what strategy these two teams elect to use.
Well, at least Gray, in my eyes, has been quite a constant throughout Hot Zone in every single map. And every single time we see Hot Zone show up, it's the Gray setting up a teleport, getting the hypercharge and going forwards again. Humble know that, they're going to ban that out. I don't think at this point in the series, Humble want that unpredictableness. I'm not going to say it's no skill, but you can get to the Hot Zone and just take tanks and stand on it no matter what you're against. So they don't want that unpredictability. They get that out the way, along with the Hank that you mentioned and the Juju. 3 very good bans from Humble. And then over the other side, we see the Juju being double banned, along with the Mina and the Ruffs, as Revenant get rid of those.
Couple starting lines available, one including Pam, the other that comes to the top of mine is Finks. Meeple also escapes the ban stage. That is a great shout out of Humble, especially on a map like this, where somebody like Colonel Ruffs is removed. You have to get more creative on your wall break. Something like Griff as an emergency option could come to play, but there's 2 ways to deal with Meeple, and that's either destroy the entire map and make it wide open, or outrange him. So I'm curious how Revenant XSPARK decide to deal with this. Health points could be a solution, but you don't want to commit to that too early, because then Humble have time to respond with tank counters.
Yeah, absolutely. Meeple, I think, is the no-brainer of the first from Humble here, and very smart of them to pick that brawler up with how strong it is and how good the hypercharge is. On the other side, I'd say another one of the constants that we've been seeing through a lot of the Brawl Stars Championship World Finals. We see the Pam picked up by Revenant XSPARK, really nice. The hypercharge catapulted her back into the meta, but so much health, so much healing, and a very good ability to scrap suck if that's the one that you choose to take these more aggressive units out the way and sap their ammo.
We'll see what they elect to pair Pam with. 10 seconds on the clock, and each pick in succession becomes more important for Revenant XSPARK. A stew. Wow. Okay, so on the 2-3 turn, they go with an aggressive brawler, one they're comfortable with, one with Sergeant has played this weekend even. but I'm not used to seeing it. It's one of those brawlers that's not bad by any means, but you just have to be that dude. A high mechanical skill cap. That's why you see all the time in monthly finals when people run this, you better hope you have high ping, because you have to be pixel perfect with every click on this brawler.
I mean, Sergeant is so dangerous on this Stu. It really does make me think at least they've got a chance to come back into this one. But we'll see how the rest of the Humble draft goes. Kenji's going to come rolling on in then for Humble. I like that, the aggression that we need to see. The super, the hypercharge, really good. It has kind of not fallen off a cliff, but it's nowhere near where it once was.
No, absolutely. I mean, Kenji is still a good brawler. He's just not the S-tier special, has to be a must-pick ban every single time. But Humble still deciding to put their faith in the Tsushimi Slash. This is also a way to build some health points into somebody like Stu. Stu can make contact with tanks, but it's hard for him to bring them down. Pam, however, will assist with that. I'm curious to see how this Scrap Sucker in the healing station goes into Kenji.
Very nice, everyone.
Larian Laurie is Humble's final pick on what might be Revenant XSPARK's last draft of the World Finals if they can't get a set on the board here. I really like that. You've got to have the throwers that's going to be able to take down those PAM turrets really successfully and in quick fashion. They've just got to be very cautious about not feeding them ability that this dude's going to have. If he can get super after super after super, he's just going to be chasing Lukey down throughout the entirety of this set. So Boss got to be cautious about not feeding that too much. Same goes for Semantic. And then Griff is going to come in. Really nice pick from Revenant XSPARK there. Break these walls, put Meeple in a position where the super's useless unless she's using Meeple's Mansion. Kenji's needs those walls, and so does the Larian Laurie. Really nice picks from Revenant XSPARK, and I like what they've got.
I mentioned Griff at the beginning. This is one of the creative wall break options they had to have. Obviously an insane amount of DPS. If they fall early, things get scary. The villain in SEA Cinderella story. The red roster, your defending world champions, are looking to pull it off once again. Revenant XSPARK have been in this position so many times already. Reverse sweep against the world champion would be one of the grandest things we would ever see in Brawl history.
Quick wall breaks then from Sergeant and Semantic on the right-hand side, just assuming this position a bit further up where the wall, he doesn't have that wall there, so we need to move that a bit further on. Sergeant going really aggressive now, might be punished for that, but Boss in the back lines burns down. This is a 30% lead now to Humble, but as these walls go down, they're going to get more and more difficult to get back into position.
Sergeant and Goner, the walls are opening up, sure, but this is what I was worried about. Yes, they can break the walls, but they have to have positioning to do so. If Response can't progress forward, they can't tear through. Dominant stuff from Humble. Revenant haven't had any time to breathe.
I mean, this is 50% already for Humble and 4 for Revenant XSPARK. Really disappointing performance so far, but Semantic puts himself in a great position and Boss runs in a straight line over and over and over again. Jay very low, but managed to avoid one of those shots over the top from Larian Laurie. Response will go down, and this is all Humble.
No tags from the Scrap Sucker either. Pam can operate in the open space, but is struggling. Sergeant needs a super as well. Boss flanking. It's already at 90%. Humble, just a few percentage points away from being on match point. Jay is trapped, sure, but Lukey is resting comfortably. Revenant XSPARK don't even grab 10%. And the world champions from 2024 are now on match point.
Last lifeline for Revenant XSPARK. An entire reverse sweep needed now. 2 in a row here, and then a further 2 sets after that against the current world champions of Humble. Might be too much to ask of Revenant.
It's been an incredible journey so far, but now they have to pull off the ultimate reverse sweep. Down a game in the third set. Didn't even grab 10% in game number 1. It's a trade on the outset. Scrap Sucker up the middle of the map. Lukey forced away. This gives Response an opportunity to climb the map, scale up to this top left-hand side, and elect whether or not to use a wall break, and that's exactly what it does. Piggy bank on the ground.
Ooh, he dashes straight into that as well. Really unfortunate for Boss, but he's just going to put himself straight back in that position, dash back forward. Meeple's Mansion comes now, and the super through the wall to try and get him down. But Samantha can toss those balls over the top anyway and get big damage in. A little swap of positions with his clone to get a bit more help to that and keep him in the face of Sergeant.
This is where things went south in game number 1. Revenant XSPARK, bottom left-hand side Response. They need their wall breaker to move up. He's dropping a piggy bank in his own spawn side just to move forward.
Well, the super comes out and it's a great connection, but how much can it do? Boss really low, but he's just going to assume the point and get some more percentage on the zone. Boss now rotating to the left-hand side, Lukey low, and Sergeant getting some good aggression, but he falls low and has to back right off.
That's a good wall break from Sergeant, a follow-up kill as well. Southeast Asia superstar has to be perfect the rest of the way. Humble have approached 50%. Revenant XSPARK finally moving up a little bit, but they have to maintain positioning.
Well, Super Veil from Semantic to tank some of this PAM damage. She's going to throw all the way back and just have it gradually come up against Sergeant, then possibly switch places with it. The Meeple's Mansion's there and the Super along with it as well to try and get this PAM turret down, and it takes a few shots, a lot of ammo to get that done. But Revenant XSPARK need to make something happen. Semantic's going to fall, and Humble still in the percentage lead, but Revenant are more in it.
It's finally a fight. Revenant have given themselves a chance, but Humble keep chipping away. Less than 20% to go for Revenant. Now Semantic flanking on the left-hand side, waiting for his team to regroup. They're spacing the floor. Now a Meeple Mansion going down the ground. Hypercharge for Jay and a Super out left. This is double Larry action.
Yeah, big hypercharge from Semantic as well, switching positions, getting this PAM hypercharge turret down, and it needs to go. Boss moving forwards, but response got to be close to Super as he just popped a hypercharge, but not got it just yet, and just not allowed by Boss to get that off. Throws it out to the left-hand side, Semantic still alive, 10% needed, and it's go time for Revenant.
Humble, less than 10% away from repeating the past year. Boss standing tall, backs up, and in a weekend of unpredictability, who would have thought we get a rerun of 2024's World Finals? They've been